Hey everyone, it's Sunflower Spirit here, and I'm here to do another collective reading. I hope you guys are doing well. This is for the full moon today. I'm recording this July 29th. It's the full moon in Aquarius, so I thought we'd get started here and see what the energy is for everybody. So I hope everybody has been well. What is the energy for everyone for this full moon in Aquarius? What is the energy for everyone for this full moon in Aquarius? So what is the energy for the full moon Aquarius? Whoa. We have strength, and we have the Wheel of Fortune. It's interesting. I'll tell you about that in a minute. We also had the Four of Pentacles come out, and then we also had Judgment come out. So already, this is very interesting. What else do we have for everybody for this full moon in Aquarius, please? What is the energy, please, for this full moon in Aquarius? We have the Nine of Pentacles. We have Justice. And we have the Nine of Swords. And then what else do we have for everybody for this full moon in Aquarius? Can you guys see those? Okay. What else do we have for this full moon? Oh my gosh, that's way too many cards. Just one more, please. All right, we have the Six of Pentacles. And then on the back of the deck, we have the Queen of Swords. All right, so what I was saying was interesting earlier is that we got the Strength and the Wheel of Fortune right away and the Judgment. And so there's something going on astrologically right now with so Leo season, we're in Leo season, which would be Strength. Wheel of Fortune is Jupiter energy, and Judgment's going to be Pluto energy. There's something going on with Pluto. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not like the best astrologer, but I do know like a little bit. There's something going on. Basically, the gist of it is that it's going to be we're having this sort of, the collective is feeling this like we how do I want to say this? Like it's like an ego thing versus like a collective thing. So it's like about us or it's about me, something like that. Um, and so I do see a lot of that because we could see the ego here with the Strength card. We can also see it with this Nine of Pentacles a little bit, simply because I have a peacock on there, and so that's telling me that that's usually about, you know, peacocks usually symbolize something about the ego, something's coming out with the ego. So you know, we are Leo season, which is interesting that that came out. So we have this energy of this kind of like duality, which is kind of what we're seeing. It's like the like Carl Jung would call it like the collective unconscious versus like the individual unconscious. And so we're having some sort of like tension between those two things. But there's also a lot of room for like there's endings and new beginnings, like big ending, big beginning. That's because this is the last full moon before the eclipses start. And so this is really like we're really just like tying stuff up. And so with that Wheel of Fortune, that number 10, that's a 1 or a 10. So we're looking at this kind of like tension between these two opposing forces, which is like the collective energy or the individual energy. And we're looking at this sort of like turning of the wheel, things starting, things closing out, and other things beginning. Um, with the Four of Pentacles here, it's kind of like that's kind of that like individual energy where we're kind of holding on to things from the past. We're trying to hold on to things that we know, right? Because that's what we do as humans because it's comfortable. And so that's part of that like individualist energy here. With judgment, here, there's an opportunity. And so judgment is kind of like we're assessing the past and we are trying to figure out, you know, like how to move forward. Do we want to do the same things that we've been doing or do we want to do something different? And so judgment is really, we're trying to make that judgment call of like, you know, it's kind of like an awakening where like, you know, you either have to kind of allow yourself to grow, you have to allow yourself to be comfortable with the discomfort, or you're gonna like stay in the same kind of energy that you've always been. And the universe is asking you to grow right now just because we have that wheel of fortune, but it's really up to you. You can hold on to your, you know, past stuff. You can hold on to your stability, your perceived stability. They're asking you to kind of expand yourself right now. So expand your awareness, expand your consciousness. Um, there is this energy of being very, you know, we have gotten to this place, I think, not like necessarily as a collective, but maybe more individually, where we are, you know, we're used to the routine, we've gotten a pattern down, we're used to, it's a comfort level, right? So we're kind of in this comfort level of like, where we're going. And so we're being asked to have courage to maybe leave that comfort level a little bit. Um, Another thing is that this has to do with like our values and our ethics. And so the Wheel of Fortune is turning, but it's also saying like it really depends on what your values and ethics are and if I agree. So universe is saying like I will back you up, but it might not look exactly the way that you thought it would just because um, you know, there's certain values or ethics that are um, it's a transformation. It's really a transformation stage for the collective to figure out like what are our collective values, what are our collective beliefs, and um, the way that we, you know, what we perceive right and wrong and that kind of thing. So that's a huge thing that's happening right now. And that's sort of like this really internal self process. So it's interesting that we're getting, you know, the full moon energy is Aquarius, so that would be like more that individual quality, but we're also like closing something out as a collective. And so that's why we're feeling maybe like that tension right now. It could be causing a lot of anxiety, especially if you're holding on to the past or holding on to, you know, things that how you've always done things in the past, because that is something that definitely you know, you're looking at right now. And so it could be, you know, those things are coming out and it could be that, you know, if you're holding on tightly to things that you knew and you're trying to do things the way that you've always done, it's going to cause a lot of anxiety because there is that tension right now where we're being called to kind of like step out of our comfort zones. And with the Six of Pentacles, it's all about that like balance. It's all about um, kind of the reciprocity. So it's not necessarily about like, oh, it's just about the collective or oh, it's just about me. It's kind of like about all of the above. And so we're having to figure out like how we balance that out. How do I balance my needs with the needs of the collective? How do I balance my values, my ethics with the values and ethics of the collective? Because they might not always be the same, right? Because there's so many people in the world. And so really trying to assess like where your specific values fit in and what you can contribute and how does that relate to how the collective is contributing to you in a way? So that's what we're looking at. With the Queen of Swords on the back of the deck here, I'm just seeing this is really like people have really been through a lot. A lot of people have been through a lot right now. And so this is really, needing to kind of have those boundaries, needing to know what your deal breakers are, needing to know like what you're willing to stand for and what you're not willing to stand for. But also recognizing that within the transformation, we can't be too rigid about it because we do need to think logically. We do need to use, our critical thinking skills. Yeah, we do need to have set some boundaries and we do need to kind of assert ourselves with the deal breakers for our particular life, but it's also about that change. So again, it's going to be that balance. I'm seeing balance in multiple ways here where we have to kind of figure out like, how do I get myself, stable? Because this is a change for everybody. This is a change for people on individual levels, and it's going to be changes on collective levels. And so that's kind of what we're seeing with the collective energy with this full moon. So that's a pretty big message. We have a lot of majors here. I just wanted to point that out. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 majors, which I guess isn't that many, but it is a lot. And so with the majors here, I would say the major themes are going to be courage. They're going to be expansion and growth, getting out of your comfort zone. They're going to be your value system and your ability to kind of like balance your needs with the needs of the collective. And then it's also going to be that kind of awakening again, like, we're being asked to kind of get out of our comfort zones and stuff. So let's go ahead and clarify. We got a pretty good picture, but we will get a better one. Just 1 second, guys. Sorry. My bad. Just 1 sec. Okay, I apologize. All right, so tell me why this strength card is here, please. What is this strength card here for, please? We have Knight of Pentacles. So we're being called to have courage, but it's not going to be something that's going to, this courage is something that needs to be kind of like grounded, like built into our system and everything. And it's going to take some patience. It's not going to be a fast moving energy. We're being asked to have courage for maybe, to go the distance, not just like have courage, fleetingly or anything. This is something where we're being called to like kind of integrate this into our lives. Um, what is this Wheel of Fortune here? Show me more about this. Wheel of Fortune, we have the Ace of Cups. Yeah, so opportunity for brand new beginnings, things that are fulfilling, opportunity for growth and transformation, opportunity for kind of like the growth and transformation is going to bring some of that like peace, love, harmony, that kind of stuff. But we have to be open to it, right? We have to be open to receive it. What is this Four of Pentacles? Tell me more about the Four of Pentacles, please. We have Seven of Swords. Yeah, so, holding on to the past, I mean, this is kind of like an ego response, and it really is like Four of Pentacles is always going to be an ego card for me. But in this particular reading, it definitely is an ego response. And so what the ego is doing is it's saying, oh my God, this is scary. Like, I don't want to change. Change is scary. I just want to stay in my comfort zone. I like my comfort zone. I know what happens in my comfort zone. So the ego's with the Seven of Swords, the mind is trying to figure out how to maintain that comfort zone, even though that's not what we're being called to do. We're being called to like step out of that comfort zone, have that courage with the strength, have that patience with that Knight of Pentacles. And it's a struggle because that's a real human struggle. We all do that to some extent. What is this Judgment card, please? Show me more about the Judgment. we have Three of Wands. Yeah, so there's stuff that's already been put in motion. We've either put stuff in motion in our individual lives, or the collective is putting things into motion within the collective, and this is both. And so now we're kind of looking at this stuff and we're like, we're moving forward, everything's set in motion, everything is in motion, and we're not there's no negotiating, because we're not at the Two of Wands, we're at the Three of Wands. With the Two of Wands, there might be some negotiating, but no, we're past that. We've already decided, we've put things in motions, and so now there's this sort of, waiting period with this Knight of Pentacles. Waiting probably isn't the right word. It's more like looking to, like, you've put your planning in place, and so now you're just carrying out that plan. It's like stepping stones, kind of. That's a better way to describe that. What is this Nine of Pentacles? Please show me this Nine of Pentacles. We have the Three of Cups. Yeah, because what we've done here is, like, individually within the collective, a lot of us have really gotten to these really good places, with our maybe stability, maybe job, finances. It could be anything. It could be even like love or relationship. It could really be anything. And so, you know, that's why it's so hard with this Four of Pentacles and Seven of Swords, is because our ego is like, wait, we got it. We're doing great, like, why should we change stuff now? And so it's really a time to, like, come together as a community and, like, not it's not that we want to, like, pretend like those things don't exist, that we haven't gotten to these great places or we haven't had the success in life, but it's more about, like, connecting with other people to find out that, hey, other people are going through the same thing and this is scary for other people, and maybe we could, as a collective, like, help each other out with transformation and the changes that are happening. What's this Justice card, please? We have the Sun. So another Leo card. So yeah, Justice, Justice is Venus energy, Libra, Taurus. So we're looking at, this sort of, like, balancing our values with the collective values, but there's also going to be clarity coming. And so that's part of this Wheel of Fortune, Ace of Cups energy, is like, we can't have this transformation, we can't have this wheel turning and this expansion without getting, like, ultimate clarity. So there's a lot of clarity coming that's going to bring a lot of freedom. It's going to help us understand our values and ourselves and our collective values, but we also need to, like, go in with it kind of knowing what our values are. Otherwise, it's going to be a little scarier for our ego with the trying to maintain that status quo, trying to maintain the comfort zone type thing. What is this Nine of Swords energy for everybody, please? We have Queen of Swords again. Yeah, so this is really taking hold of those thoughts, like not letting yourself, panic in the middle of the night or stay up late, or because with the Nine of Swords, we're really overthinking. What are we overthinking? We're overthinking these ego. We're like, oh my God, this is scary. We like our comfort zone. We want to stay in our comfort zone. We don't understand why things have to change. And the Queen of Swords is, like, taking hold of those swords and those thoughts, and being like, no, we got this. Like, we just need to know where our boundaries are. We just have to have some sort of structure to this. So the Queen of Swords is going to bring that structure. And it's interesting, we got her twice. So really what I'm seeing with that is focusing on those boundaries. Like I said, the deal breakers, recognizing your value system, and recognizing that, like, this is a transformation that you need to take hold. Yeah, definitely transformation. Just make sure that you're, like, minding your thoughts, that you're watching yourself, like, not getting into those panic states or that anxiety state, because that's not really going to help anything. It's just going to make the transition more painful. What is this Six of Pentacles for everyone? We have the Devil. Yeah. So part of, like, this reciprocity is recognizing, like, what we've kind of been holding on to that hasn't been working. This could be at an individual level, it could be at a collective level. We're kind of trying to um assess really, like, we put this stuff in place with this Three of Wands. We put these things in place. We're not negotiating anymore, but it kind of feels like negotiating because our ego's holding so tightly to this comfort zone, to the past. And so we're trying to like have this awakening and have, make these decisions based on, our values and everything. But part of it is like with the devil, a lot of times we get it does come with the comfort zone, because it's like even though sometimes things aren't good for us, or things aren't serving us the best that they could, we need to realize like where the give and take is. Like we can't just keep giving to things that aren't giving back, or if we're taking too much, recognize that we need to like give a little bit too. And so that's kind of where we have the Three of Swords on the back. And I think that's just because it's just change is really hard. This is like a huge transformation, huge change. This is going to be a huge change individually. We're going to feel it individually. We're feeling it collectively. You might have already started feeling it to some extent. And so, the Three of Swords for me is like that anger, pain, and rage of, feeling like it hurts because it's just really hard. We don't want to change. Our ego is kind of holding us back, and it's time to kind of like go a different path and do a different thing. We got to like lead into this transformation. We got to lead into this change. And that is a really challenging thing to do for a lot of people. And especially if if we have this Nine of Pentacles energy, we have this Four of Pentacles where we've got this stability, we obviously have the stability. And so now it's going to feel like the floor is sinking beneath us or whatever. And so that's why it's hard. But um, I mean, overall, I mean, yeah, change doesn't always come, there's things you have to give. That's what they're saying with the Six of Pentacles, with the Justice. There's things you have to let go of to get better, to have a better time of it. So, wow, that is really heavy energy. I'm not like surprised though, because there's been a lot going on, um, astrologically. And I think it's going I don't think we're quite out of the woods yet with that. But let's go ahead and what else do I want to do here? Let's get some advice. I think I'm just going to get my usual advice because it usually does pretty good with my angels and ancestors. And let's get some advice and see what the advice is for the collective for all of this, because this is a lot. We have a lot going on, and it would be nice to know that we're not all just gonna totally fall apart, which we might. No, I'm just joking. Um, yeah, but yeah, it's not that ego stuff is hard, and then the comfort zone and like leading into change. But my advice for you, just from like the work that I've done and with myself and with others and everything, is that the more you can lean into change and just kind of roll with it instead of trying to fight it, the better you're going to be. Like you're going to have less struggle, less chaos and everything. I know it's easier said than done, but it is possible. So let's see what the advice is from the cards. See if they say something different. What is the advice for everyone for this full moon in Aquarius, please? What is the advice? We have Hunter. Track down your fears and desires. Yeah, so this is like doing that inner work. This is that shadow work. It's that ego work. Do you see how he kind of has those like devil horns? So it's like looking at those things. What am I holding on to? What is there in my life that is, not serving me, or that is holding me back from my best, highest potential? That's kind of what we're looking at here. So trying to find those things, really trying to go in, find those things. And hunters, they go and they search for things that they kill. And so it's almost like that metaphor of like killing off the things that are like not, that are holding you back, that aren't serving you well. Um, what else do we have for everybody? We have Sholin Master. I think that's how you say it. Be graceful in movement and action. So they're saying like be intentional about how you're doing this. So yeah, look for these things, look for all the things that are holding you back, but also be intentional. Like when you look for them, when you find them, what are you planning to do with that? How are you planning on managing that? Do you have a plan for like, you know, say you like do because shadow work's really hard, it's really scary, and you might find stuff in there that you're like, oh man, like I wish I would have picked up that rock, you know. But so they're saying like have a plan for that. So what happens when you find something that just totally, you just really had no idea? How are you, do you have like a friend you could go to, a therapist? Like, do you have coping skills for that? Um, so have don't just act on this, but figure out like what you're going to do with it. Okay, now that I know that, I have a tendency, maybe it's like your attachment style or so. My attachment style has been holding me back. What am I going to do that? Maybe you're going to go to the library and look up books on attachment style. That's just like a very random example. It could be like anything. Moon, take note of intuitive messages. So this is just confirming this full moon that this is a cycle, this is an end of a cycle, and also a beginning of a cycle. It's even with this Sholin Master, maybe set your intentions around full moons are always good time to set intentions. I mean, there's never a bad time, but I always say that, like full moons are good time. And then the moon is about that like subconscious. So we're kind of bringing this stuff up from our subconscious to our conscious awareness. And so what does that mean? Like, how are you going to, things are definitely going to change, but that's the purpose of these awakenings. That's why we got the judgment card. That's why we got the Wheel of Fortune, because we're trying to awaken some of this stuff within us. And then, when we heal ourselves, we actually influence the collective to heal us. At least that's what I believe. So, when you do some of that shadow work, you help the collective kind of do the shadow work that they need to do. We have medicine guardian on the back, be open to healing information. Yeah, so like be open to this process too. I know it's easier said than done, but this is your heart chakra. So this is like having an open heart with this, like recognizing that like it's okay to not be perfect, and it's okay to have stuff from your past that you didn't realize you were having. It's okay to have this shadow side. We all have kind of like this shadow side where there's stuff that we have to work on, because if you don't have anything to work on, then why are you on this planet in the first place, right? So it's I'm going to normalize that for you, that everybody has this stuff. So they're saying be open to the process, be open to healing yourself, and then be open to healing information that may support the collective, because we saw there's like a huge tension right now between those two forces. So yeah, that's what I have for you guys. I hope that was helpful. I hope you guys have a great full moon in Aquarius, and thank you guys so much for stopping by.